This is Sean Killian from Violence. You're watching the Overdrive.ie, the home of heavy metal. Metal up your ass!
So hey guys, welcome back to Overdrive. I'm very, very excited to be talking to the one and only Gene Hoglan here from Dark Angel, who will be passing through Ireland and the UK in a couple of weeks actually for the Dark Angel tour. Gene, absolute pleasure to have you. Thanks for joining me, man. How are you?
Thank you, Oran. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to do some chatting about all things Dark Angel. Absolutely.
Hey Gene, so I just figured with such a long history with Dark Angel, and that involved many twists and turns over the years, it must feel like really liberating to finally be edging closer to this album coming out, and also, like, what is it, 34 years since the first album? Did you even think that it was going to happen?
I will be honest, I did not expect Dark Angel to ever be returning. And then about a little over a decade or so ago, when the talks came around, I had some free time in my schedule, and the talks were coming around like, hey, what does everybody think about doing some shows? We're getting some. I always got offers, when I'm over in Europe or anywhere with Strapping Young Lad or Testament or whoever. All the promoters would come up to me and say, hey man, if you ever want to put Dark Angel back together, man, we are here for it. And so, I'm like, duly noted. And then when the time in the schedule was freed up in order to do so, we reached out and started doing that. And then I've mentioned it in a number of interviews where I just, we had Jim Durkin and myself, we got together, and he let me in on a few ideas and songs and riffs and demos and things that he had put together in case Dark Angel was ever going to record ever again. And I got so excited with it that I was like, oh my God, Dark Angel, we're writing new stuff. We're going to record a new record real soon. It's going to come out. And it took a decade. So, I take full responsibility for blabbing way too early about it. But now we are at the point where the album is complete, and we've kept it real cloak and dagger over the years. We've been working on it for some time. And, we wanted to be able to have it way closer to its releasability, I suppose, rather than just, because I knew it was going to take us a while to get it, to get it started and then completed. I knew that was going to be a lot of time in between the inception and completion. So we just took our time with getting the album to this point where it's at, to where we could announce it. Yes, later this year, in 2025, we're going to have a new Dark Angel record, unless something goes tragically wrong, but everything's moving according to plan. So we're at that point. I'm really excited about the new record. I dig it. I'm really happy with it. We're all really happy with it. And from every aspect of the album, the music, the lyrics, the performances, Ron's vocals are crushing on it. And the artwork is killer. Myself and my artist, Kane Gillis, we took a lot of time getting this artwork together. It's a pretty special release, and we're really excited for it, man. I'm stoked to be able to release it. Hopefully within the next, short amount of time, we're going to have a second single out, and so we're all about that as well. So.
Can we expect to hear a couple of these new tunes in the set list? Because I know you've been playing, is it
Extinction Level Event,
and you're doing Circular Firing Squad as well?
That's right. And so we're, Circular Firing Squad will be the other new song that we intend to play, unless, again, something goes tragically wrong. But we're stoked to play it, and we're stoked to play those two new songs because, we got those down really well, and we've been playing them already live. So, debuting them on the UK shores is pretty exciting to all of us. We haven't played Ireland. I don't know that we've ever played Ireland before. We played Scotland, we played London and Manchester before, but this is our first time returning to the general UK, Great Britain in quite some time. So especially with our own shows. So we're really excited to the band is playing as intensely as ever, and it's going to be a kick-ass show that.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it, man. Absolutely. It's
as are we.
It says on the artwork here that it's in memory of Jim, this tour, and it just kind of got me thinking about Jim, and his incredible influence and songwriting ability. Was he very much in your mind and hearts when everything was being put together for this new album?
Well, absolutely. Like for instance, as we have mentioned on a number of occasions, the first single, Extinction Level Event, was musically was solely written by Jim. And that was the song that kicked off the whole excitement about writing together. Jim had these kick-ass, very Jim Durkin ideas, very Dark Angel ideas. And I was like, this song is so killer. And that just got my creative, juices flowing with everything. And we tried to get together as often as we could, schedule-wise. We're both a couple of busy dudes, so we would try to get together as much as we could and throw around some riffs and put some ideas together, and with always the intent of, okay, we're stockpiling riffs here, and then we're going to get to the construction of these songs. We have this one song pretty well constructed right now. Jim had another couple on the go, at least one. The pandemic hit, and that pretty much, everything went into lockdown, shut down, all that kind of stuff. And during the pandemic, before we were even out of it, that's, we lost Jim, essentially towards the tail end of the pandemic. But, that was an unexpected loss. We did not expect Jim to pass away. But his influence is all over this record, and, because Jim was my first guitar hero. He was my first guitar teacher, like just Jim and I, when we were working on Darkness Descends together, we wrote that record together, and I was a neophyte at the guitar, and Jim knew a lot more than I did. He had a lot of great approaches that were just so killer. I mean, he is so influential on so many bands, riffs, let me tell you. And just having Jim's eternal influence, if there are riffs that Jim did not write on this record, if I'm writing them, I try to make them as Jim Durkin-esque as possible. Just his influence, his feel, his spirit is in there. And, Laura Christine, she came through with a whole ton of riffs for us, and her style is all over this record, because Laura Christine and I have been working together for 15 years now. And so, she is such an amazing songwriter, riff writer, and all that. So her influences come into my brain as well. Absolutely. So, her influence is all over this, her style, and, that coupled with Jim's, and also, I've got my style as well. So it makes a great amalgamation of all things that are Dark Angel. And so this is going to be a very Dark Angel-esque record. And, a lot of people are asking me, like, hey, is this going to sound like Darkness Descends? Is it going to sound like Leave Scars, or Time Does Not Heal, or We Have Arrived? Which album is it going to sound like? And I'm like, man, it's going to sound like Dark Angel. Like, no Dark Angel album has ever sounded like another one, So in keeping in that spirit, that mode of evolution, this is an evolution in progress. So this is where, Dark Angel is going to sound like Dark Angel, but I feel, in my opinion, I know what's good metal, and I also know what's like kind of generic and just kind of, oh man, that's nice try, guys. This is like, we approach this record's production in a totally different manner than any production of these days. Like, this is not a gridded, heavily like edited and sterile sounding record. We tried to make this just as lively and just like the band jamming as much as possible. So it will not sound like every other album that is just, there's no sound replacement on the drums. There's no, it's like, this is
the real
true tones. This is real, just the way we did it back in the day. It's real. This is like all we tried to do is we tried to make it sound better than any other Dark Angel album, and that's the only thing I really feel like any band can compare itself to. You can't listen. I love all the metal bands, all the Exoduses and Creators and Sodoms and Possessed and everybody, but I can't go listen to their stuff and go, hey, we got to compare our stuff to them and make sure that we I won't do that. We are Dark Angel. We stand on our own, and I will stand behind everything that we ever do, definitely. So there you go.
Well, reflecting on Time Does Not Heal, there was stuff recorded after that, was that right? Like, I'm hearing this stuff like there's a kind of an album there somewhere, but it has never been released. And
yeah, indeed, absolutely. There were about 15 songs, 12 to 15 songs written and demoed.
And did anything from that move on to this album, or ideas or anything, or is that just a separate thing?
That is a completely separate thing. I remember I have all those songs on a disc, from a cassette, digitized them, put them on a disc. Yeah. The majority of those songs anyway. And I remember just laying it on Jim when Jim had brought what turned into Extinction Level Event. I was like, hey, I've got these songs as well. Here's 10 songs on this disc. Jim freaked out over that disc. He's like, oh my God, all this material's amazing. Like, this is our next record. This is it. And I'm like, God, Jim, what you just showed me and what I know I have in me, this stuff that we have here is great, but that's like 25 years old, 20 something years old. This was killer for its time, 92, 91, gotcha. 92.
Yeah.
And that's where I came up with the concept, Jim, let's just write everything brand new, fresh. I've got a lot more aggression from the riffing areas, and I definitely see you do too. So let's write a bunch of new stuff, and if we need to, hey man, you never know. Like,
that's what I was going to ask. It could be maybe a record store day thing, or something just really left to center. Something
could be something somewhere in the future where we end up tracking all that stuff, and that it would just be here's the album that you never got to hear after us. The album had a title. Indeed, it was going to be called Atrocity Exhibition, and I think Gary Holt and myself, we read the same book. Because it's a book title. And so I remember when Exodus released their Atrocity Exhibition, that's when people reach out to me like, didn't you guys have something, Atrocity Exhibition? It's like, it's a book title. So, there you go.
Look, it's been said that we'll expect this album kind of in the autumn time, in the fall, autumn.
Right.
Is that still what we're looking at here?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I believe so, yeah. And so with that in mind, we do like these shows that are coming up next week. Originally we were supposed to have this album out a few months ago, and these were going to be brand new album kind of things. And since there were a couple of delays, a couple of technical issues going on that we had to deal with, we had to convert these upcoming shows. We wanted to keep them. We wanted to keep our commitments to the shows. So that's where we're doing these shows as Darkness Descends shows, in honor of Jim Durkin, absolutely. And coming out to Europe for the first time in a long time, doing a run, and, all the UK shores, you're getting Dark Angel for the first time, and you're getting the entire Darkness Descends record.
Yeah.
Pretty darn kick-ass night.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Record, and we play it better than we ever have before now. Like, we are just so tight and so solid.
Do you see yourself in the future still busy with lots of different projects like you always have done, or is everything kind of like, okay, we're going full on Dark Angel? Like, are you going to be like, what's your kind of schedule like? Is it primarily Dark Angel into 25, 26?
That is what we are looking at initially.
Okay.
And right now I have 4 projects, actually 5, including the project that I have with Laura Christine. We've had our own band going for the longest time. And so ultimately that's going to get integrated into the scheduling as well. But as of this moment, I've got Dark Angel is the primary. And then we also have, of course, Death to All, which, that's the death tribute that Steve DiGiorgio, Bobby Coble, Max Phelps, and I all put together. That's another one. As well as Death Clock. That's going to be that's always been, since we've returned, Death Clock has been a pretty sizable amount of the scheduling, focus. And that will remain because now Death Clock is starting to go over and play shows. We're doing a show in London, right in the, we're doing Dark Angel directly into Death Clock, right back into Dark Angel. As a matter of fact, Dark Angel and Death Clock are going to be using the same tour bus. It's like, it's going to be like one of those morning Ralph, just crossing each other.
Yeah.
Unloading one band, loading on another band. So
awesome.
That's going to be pretty cool. And then also another one of my primary focuses is also Bear McCreary. For those who are unfamiliar with Bear, he is he's a composer, a soundtrack writer, and he works on a ton of movies and TV shows, and he's Grammy nominated. He works on video games, like he did the God of War video game. He's done the last couple of those, and we worked on the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie together a few years back, and then he also does all the music for The Walking Dead and
so cool. Oh my god.
Yeah, Battlestar Galactica and Outlander. That's another popular show, I understand. Yeah. And he's that is his realm.
Yeah, we're so looking forward to this. These dates are coming up very, very fast. You are in Dublin anyway on the 11th of June in the Academy in Dublin with Dark Angel, and I believe there's dates before that. I think it's kicking off on the 8th perhaps over in the UK, and some other dates that are being added to it that people can check out online if they look into. But
absolutely, please do.
Yeah, with that being said, I just want to wish you the best of luck with everything going forward. It sounds so exciting, and yeah, the world needs a new Dark Angel album, so we're going to get that this year.
Darn tootin', that's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, Jim, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us here, and we'll see you.
Thank you very much, Oran. I appreciate it. Wow, we're looking forward to it. Come back to the show, come back, hang out, say hey, Hope
we sure will.
We'll take care of you, absolutely.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Oran. Take care.